What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is finally time for the Week 38 Premier League predictions. All the rescheduled fixtures have come up. It is now the final day. The title is still to play for, albeit there is a likely winner. Top 4 is still to play for, albeit there is a likely top 4. And relegation is still to play for. So it's all to play for this week. So please do just quickly drop a like and subscribe down below. And be sure to leave your predictions down in the comments as well. I want to give a shout out to Sidrit Jaravina, who left their predictions on the previous video. I was blown away when I saw this comment. They absolutely smashed it. Tottenham win 2-0. Leicester win and both teams to score. West Ham and Man City to draw 2-2. Brentford to win and both teams to score. It was just an all-round good amount of predictions from them, especially the West Ham Man City correct score. Absolutely phenomenal. So if you do want to shout out, I'm not sure when it would be actually, because I'm not sure when the next Premier League video is going to be, maybe a little roundup, then be sure to leave your predictions down in the comments below, and feel free to click the join button to support the channel and get exclusive tips when football is on. If you want to wait until next season to do that, I totally understand. We had a pretty good week last week. We managed to, the Leicester prediction was my favourite. I was saying in the video, I could not believe the value we were being presented with. I offered Leicester to win at 2.05. I then offered Leicester to win -1 handicap at 3.5, and they won by 4 goals against Watford, which I thought was phenomenal. Crystal Palace double chance at 1.72 came in. Man City and both teams to score at nearly 3 would have come in had Mahrez scored the penalty, but swings and roundabouts. We had both teams to score between Everton and Brentford, so all around a pretty decent week. Let's kick it off with Arsenal up against Everton. Everton, a late comeback against Crystal Palace, secured their Premier League survival. Arsenal, like I said, albeit unlikely, still have something to play for. At home against Everton, I think they're going to win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Arsenal. Everton can party and do their thing. Arsenal need to put on a performance. Even though it's unlikely that it will lend themselves a top 4 finish, they need to, 1, make it possible with the result, which means they got to win, and 2, they need to give something back to the fans that have had to watch these last few performances. It's been poor. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Arsenal. My tip is Arsenal -1 handicap at 2. I thought the value was okay, about right. Everton could score. To be honest, as a betting standpoint, I would stay away from this game. That's my first caution there, but I'm going to go with Arsenal -1 because I think Arsenal are due a good win. Now, after that, we have Brentford up against Leeds. Burnley obviously got a draw against Aston Villa, which means Burnley just need to equal the result of Leeds to stay up and relegate Leeds. Leeds are going to have to go and try and win this game, but at the Brentford Community Stadium, I don't think that's going to happen. Brentford have been looking very, very good here. I'm going to go for a high-scoring game. Brentford are going to go for it. They've been scoring goals. They've been good at home. Leeds have to go for it, have to score goals. They've always tried to do that. They've just been pretty poor at the back. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. And I decided on this scoreline, and it turns out this was actually the previous result between these two teams in the Premier League. It was a 2-2 draw at Ellen Road last time. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 again. My tip is both teams to score over 2.5 goals at 1.83. And that would be enough for Leeds to avoid relegation should Burnley lose against Newcastle, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But before that, it's Brighton up against West Ham. This was an interesting one. I do think West Ham are a better team, and they are well rested, which is great, but Brighton have had a good season, and at the Amex Stadium, I'm going to give them their respect. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the two teams. If I had to pick a winner, I'd probably say something mental like 3-2 West Ham. I could genuinely see that happening, but regardless of the result, I think both teams are going to score, so that is going to be my tip. Both teams to score at 1.61 because Brighton could win this, West Ham could win this, it could be a draw, so my tip is going to be in the both teams to score market. Now we head over to Turf Moor. As I mentioned earlier, Burnley up against Newcastle. Burnley, like I said, will just have to match Leeds' result to then stay up on goal difference if they do, and if they best the result, obviously they stay up as well. So I think this is going to be a tricky game for Burnley. As an Arsenal fan, as soon as I saw that Callum Wilson was starting, I didn't like our chances. Genuinely. I think he's a brilliant player. And Newcastle, Guimaraes looks unbelievable. I know everyone's saying that, but watching him properly in the Arsenal game, it's clear to see why everyone raves about him. So I think this is going to be a tough game for Burnley to win. But at home, I think Burnley have a chance. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the two teams. In case Newcastle do turn up and absolutely blitz Burnley, and Burnley just have to hope Brentford win, which I think is also a possibility. My first tip is going to be Newcastle double chance at 1.66, and my second tip is going to be the draw at 3.5. So the reason I put Newcastle double chance is just to sort of suggest the narrative that Newcastle will be the better team here. But I think Burnley can dig deep and get an all-important draw, and if Leeds do draw with Brentford, it'll be enough to keep them up. So that's another thing. If Burnley 80 minutes into the game are drawing with Newcastle and they're aware that Leeds are losing at Brentford, they might think, right, let's just hold on to this draw. But then again, Leeds have scored a lot of late goals this season, so it's going to be an interesting one. Now, after that, we have Chelsea up against Watford. Chelsea are going to win this one 6-0. My tip is Chelsea -2 at 2.25. Watford are awful, and Chelsea need a result. I didn't put it on any social medias, but I had written down as my prediction for Chelsea-Leicester 1-1. I knew both teams would score, and I had a funny feeling that Chelsea just weren't going to win. The desire wasn't there, and Leicester are a good team. They've had a bit of an underwhelming season, but they're a good team. And but I think Chelsea are going to bounce back here. I think they're going to absolutely demolish Watford. So I've gone a bit crazy. 6-0. Chelsea -2. All that is a 3-0 or a 4-1 or a 5-1 like last week. I think that's going to happen. So Chelsea -2 at 2.25. There's nothing to play for, but they're going to have a good time here. After that, it's Crystal Palace up against Manchester United. I was going to tip a score draw here, but then I remembered Crystal Palace have played a lot more football than Man United in the last couple of weeks. Now, that might lend themselves well in terms of being match fit and ready to go, but there is going to be some fatigue because they just had a tough 90 minutes against Everton. Man United are more than well rested. So I'm actually going to edge a win to United away from home. I think if they'd had equal amounts of rest, I think I'd give Palace a little bit more of a chance, but Man United also need to make sure they keep I think, is it Europa League spot? I'm not sure if their Europa League spot is in danger as to whether or not they can actually land in a Conference League spot, but United will want to win. I think it is in danger. I think if West Ham win and Man United don't, then Man United are in the Conference League. I think it's like that. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Manchester United. My tip is both teams to score at 1.61, however. Palace are going to score. I promise you that now. And so are United. So both teams to score looks pretty good there. I think a little both teams to score treble between Palace, Man United, Brentford, Leeds, and Brighton, West Ham looks pretty good. So maybe that's worth a shout. After that, it's Leicester up against Southampton. We all know, we all remember the 9-0. Leicester, as I said, have been looking good. Southampton are on their holidays. It's at the King Power Stadium. Leicester are going to win this one. I'll give Southampton a goal because they do randomly pop up with a goal here and there. They scored a goal against Liverpool, which I did predict. I predicted a 3-1 win to Liverpool. It was a 2-1 win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Leicester. My tip is simply Leicester to win at 1.85. I think the value is very good there, and I think Leicester have been looking very good in these recent weeks. After that, it's a big game. It's Liverpool up against Wolves. I was torn between 2-0 or 3-0. I've gone with 3-0 to Liverpool. And my tip is Liverpool to win and under 4.5 goals at 1.57. I was tempted to go under 3.5 goals, but Wolves can score. They did it against Manchester City. And if Liverpool win 3-1, I wouldn't want that to lose a bet, even though we pretty much got the narrative of the game spot on. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Liverpool. After that, it's Manchester City up against Aston Villa. I was very, very tempted to go for Man City winning both teams to score, but just in case it ends 3-0, I'm not going to go for that. City are, unfortunately, as a neutral. It would be great to see them drawing in the last minute and see what happens then. I think Man City are going to win this game comfortably. They're not going to leave it late. They're going to be winning at halftime. Maybe that's a market to look into. But I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Manchester City. My tip is Man City to win in over 2.5 goals at 1.61. I think Kevin De Bruyne is going to score. So have a look at that because he's in top form. He's a top player. I think Manchester City are going to win the Premier League by 1 point. The final game, Norwich up against Tottenham, and it's going to happen. Norwich are going to beat Tottenham at Carrow Road. No, they're not. Sadly, very sadly. I would absolutely love it. The upset of the season to propel Arsenal into 4th place, but it's not going to happen. It's going to be a Tottenham win. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Tottenham. My tip is Tottenham -1 at 1.61, leaving as it stands Man City to win the league, Liverpool, Chelsea and Tottenham join them in the Champions League. Arsenal and Man United in the Europa League. West Ham into the Conference League. And then relegated, Norwich and Watford, of course. And then Leeds join them too. Burnley stay up. But that is 3 big outcomes. The league, top 4, relegation. Wouldn't surprise me if one of them didn't happen. Most likely relegation. It could be that Burnley go down. But either way, that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. We've got a Champions League final predictions video coming up, and then perhaps a little bit of a break over the summer. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell so you get notifications as to when I start uploading again. But that is going to do it from me this Premier League season, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.